Hello, my name is Angus Murray. I am the CEO of Castlestone Management. I'm going to give a brief presentation here with regard to one of our funds, which is the Aliquot Precious Metals Fund for November 2013. As you'll see on slide 2, the fund is intended to own 100% direct exposure to the physical metals of gold, silver and platinum. They are actually held in allocated accounts with Barclays Bank, meaning that the metal itself is not on Barclays' balance sheet, but are just stored in their vault facilities. The current weighting of the fund is 43.33% towards platinum, 28.33% towards gold bullion, and 28.33% towards silver. That has been an active selection by us to increase the weighting to platinum, predominantly because of the significant gap between the cost of production of platinum and the current price, and the supply disruptions which continue to affect South Africa. There are 3 main points, all related to the cost of production with regard to this particular presentation that I would give. The first is that the cost of production of gold bullion is $1,300 an ounce, and as you are aware, the current price of gold is at or just below that level. The second one is the break-even or cost of production of silver, which is $26.40. I'll show you another slide in this presentation. The current price of silver is $20.73. And lastly, with regard to the cost of production of platinum, where the average cost of production is between $1,800 and $2,000 an ounce, and the current price of platinum is $1,450 or $1,450. Hence the reason we have increased our weighting in platinum. This fund, to remind you, is a weekly traded fund in dollar, euro and sterling. It is long only, it does not use leverage, it is completely liquid and completely transparent. Those points I think are particularly important today for investors feeling comfortable with regard to the funds that they own. Here, slide 3 is the indications of the current weightings. As you are aware, the fund normally operates with approximately a 1/3 holding in platinum, 1/3 in gold and 1/3 in silver, but we have made a decision to increase that weighting, taking 5% away from gold and silver and putting the weighting in platinum at 43.33%. That is associated, as I said previously, with regard to the gap or the price difference between the cost of production of platinum and the current price. Slide 4 just illustrates the cost of production of gold at $1,300 an ounce. This is very clearly discussed in our Aliquot gold bullion presentation. Obviously, the devaluation of money, which has been occurring particularly over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, has had a real effect with regard to increasing the cost of production. And along with the increased disclosure from the mining companies, today we can get a stated level of cost of production, or a much clearer level of cost of production. And this to me is the fundamental support for the price of gold bullion outside of all other elements. You can see again on slide 5 where we discuss the cost of production of silver. And now silver, if you recall, about 1/3 of all silver is mined directly in silver mines, but 2/3 of the production of silver comes as a byproduct metal, mainly from the production along with copper and zinc. So it is the effect of the copper and zinc price that has a direct effect with regard to the overall cost of production of silver. Nevertheless, with the current silver price at $20.73 and the cost of production here at over $26, you can clearly see there is a significant upside for the price in silver to appreciate just back to the average industry break even. Silver in terms of use, just illustrating that to you with regard to the cost of production, there on slide 6. Going on to platinum, you can very clearly see, and this is the reason we've increased our weighting towards platinum, the current price of platinum, as I indicated, is $1,450 an ounce, and yet the cost of production is around $1,800 up to $2,000 an ounce. Most of platinum is produced in South Africa. I'll just click forward with regard to that slide. You can see here that South African production is around 75% of the total. And obviously, as you are aware, the South African production is declining due to the industrial actions that are occurring there. Basically, the miners in South Africa are demanding higher salaries because the cost of living has gone up or the devaluation of money has occurred. and in addition to that, the cost of electricity in South Africa is very high, and that is affecting the cost of production of platinum. So to go back with regard to slide 8, I just wanted to highlight there the Yale University endowment allocations. What we can see from 1996 to 2012 is the university endowments going from an 11% weighting in real assets to a current weighting of 30% in real assets. That to us is consistent with our thinking over the course of the last 10 to 12 years, where we believe investors need to have a proportion of their money in unleveraged real assets. And obviously precious metals, gold, commodities, any unleveraged real asset is a very good hedge against that devaluation of money. In terms of a slide that you've seen in our Aliquot gold bullion presentation, the more money you print in the world, obviously the greater devaluation of money you get. We just wanted to highlight here on slide 9 that even if the Federal Reserve tapers from its $80 billion per month purchases of bonds, which it will, and it lowers that, you are still likely to see a significant ongoing increase in the amount of money in the global economy. And that, of course, is going to continue to lead to an ongoing devaluation of money, which is consistent with the theme as to why to own these underlying assets. Slide 10, looking at a couple of the individual metals. Here we can see the silver prices that are driven by mainly modern industries. Of course, silver is predominantly used within electronics, although to a lesser extent it is now used within solar panels, which is obviously a replacement for photography. But silver is definitely more economically sensitive. As the economy is therefore stabilise and grow slightly, we are continuing to see an increase in the use of silver. Slide 12 there, as I indicated to you previously, most production of platinum is coming from South Africa, and the disruptions in South Africa have obviously led, as I illustrated on slide 13, to a declining production. We think although the production levels will probably remain at around these levels, they are certainly very unlikely to increase. And with the ongoing demand that is coming through with regard to platinum, particularly in catalytic converters and jewellery, obviously a girlfriend would prefer a platinum ring over a gold ring, and she'd much rather those two over a copper ring. We are left with a scenario of an increasing profile of demand for platinum and yet a decreasing supply, hence why we are going to see higher prices. The unrest in South Africa, very evident in the news, we'd all be highly aware of that. Slide 15 here just tries to illustrate to us the similarities between the decade we went through in the last 10 years and the decade we're currently in relative to the 1970s. Really, we're just talking about the importance of unleveraged real assets, the fact during periods of changing rates of inflation, up and down, that you do tend to get an attractive elements behind the need to own unleveraged real assets because we are getting a devaluation of money. Hence the desire to own precious metals as a complex, which is exactly what this fund is intended to deliver for investors. So in summary with regard to that, the fund as it stands, 100% direct exposure to the physical metals, predominantly held in allocated format, meaning they're not on Barclays' balance sheet, we're just using their vault facilities. The current weightings: platinum 43.33%, gold 28.33%, silver 28.33%. And then talking about the main reason for owning this particular fund is the cost of production of those three individual metals. And as I indicated previously, the fund dollar, euro and sterling, currency hedged. Obviously the price of gold, silver and platinum is in US dollars. Long only, unleveraged, liquid and 100% transparent. If you need anything further with regard to this presentation or reasons that we have weighted the metals as they are currently at the moment, by all means please contact our distribution staff, or I personally would be happy to see you. Thank you indeed.